Today is Thursday, April 17th. We're talking about a high-stakes legal battle that pits the White House against the courts, with millions of undocumented immigrants caught in the middle. Also, a new development in President Trump's efforts to keep federal money and support away from the leading research university. Plus, what's already getting more expensive in the face of tariffs, how book clubs are becoming the new nightclubs for Gen Z, and who made Time magazine's list of the most influential people for 2025. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to the Newsworthy. All the day's news in about 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Lacey Evans, filling in for Erica Mandy today. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. President Trump is promising to ramp up deportations, even as his administration is in a standoff with the courts over the ones that have already been carried out. This week, one federal judge says the White House has crossed a clear line. He threatened to open a high-stakes investigation into whether the federal government violated his order last month, telling them to stop planes of migrants from being sent to El Salvador. The judge says he'll begin contempt hearings unless the men who were deported get a chance to challenge their deportations. One of those men is a Maryland father who was deported to El Salvador mistakenly. And yesterday, the Trump administration released documents they say shows Kilmar Abrego Garcia was in fact a violent gang member. They're from 2019, when Abrego Garcia was arrested for loitering at a Home Depot parking lot. Police say he was carrying rolls of money covering the eyes, ears, and mouths of the presidents on the bills. Officers say that insignia, plus the Chicago Bulls gear he was wearing, were signs of Hispanic gang culture. They also say they heard from a confidential source who specifically identified him as a gang member, though Abrego Garcia's lawyers question the credibility of that informant. His family also denies Abrego Garcia was ever in a gang, and he has never been charged with a crime. Yesterday, the Trump team also filed an appeal of that order that told them to take all available steps to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return. And next, it's promising to appeal the order that says deported migrants need a chance to challenge their deportations. So this fight appears to be far from over. The White House is escalating its retaliation against Harvard University. As several news outlets report, the Trump administration asked the IRS to rescind the Ivy League's tax-exempt status, and now the IRS is making plans to do so. Remember, the university said it wouldn't abide by President Trump's demands to change its hiring and admissions practices, as well as its curriculum. Then, President Trump wrote on social media that Harvard should have to pay taxes. And the next day, the reports came out saying the IRS was considering it. It's actually illegal for the president to either directly or indirectly request the IRS to investigate or audit specific targets. But the White House spokesperson says that's not what's happening here, that the IRS started scrutinizing Harvard long before Trump's post, and any decisions are being made independently from the president. Either way, Harvard says there's no legal basis to take away its tax status. And if it happens, the university says it would mean less financial aid, critical medical research programs getting abandoned, and lost opportunities for innovation. Right now, Harvard's tax-exempt status lets it avoid income and property taxes, but it also means donations to the university are tax-deductible, which helps attract huge amounts of charitable gifts each year. And the risk of losing all of this is on top of the $2.2 billion in federal funding that's already been cut off. Of course, Harvard isn't the only university facing extra scrutiny from the Trump White House right now. The administration has also been looking into dozens of other schools and how they're handling anti-Semitism allegations, diversity practices, policies on transgender athletes, and more. To be continued. Once again, the Trump White House is changing the way the news media is allowed to cover the president, exerting greater control over who gets to ask him questions and report on his statements in real time. The Trump administration decided to remove the wire position in the daily press corps rotation. This goes against more than 100 years of precedent. And it's going to have a big impact, especially on local news outlets that rely on the Associated Press and other wires for coverage, since they don't have White House correspondents of their own. This all started earlier this year when the Trump administration first cut off access to the AP over its decision to keep writing the Gulf of Mexico in its publications instead of the Gulf of America, as Trump wanted. The AP took the Trump administration to court, arguing the White House is violating the First Amendment that says the government can't retaliate against the press for what it says. And a federal judge agreed, saying the AP's access needed to be restored. Well, now it seems to be removing the wire position completely. The Trump administration has gotten around that order while still putting the AP at a disadvantage. The AP, Reuters, Bloomberg, and other news outlets have criticized the White House over the change. But the Trump administration says it's a privilege to ask the president questions, not a right. It also clarifies by saying wire services like the AP won't be banned, they won't be guaranteed a spot. So this basically just puts them on equal footing with everyone else, despite their wide reach across many news outlets. Meanwhile, the AP and the White House are still caught up in a legal battle that could end up before the Supreme Court. Puerto Rico is dealing with another island-wide blackout, the latest in what's been a series of outages over the last few years. This time, it comes as hotels are at near capacity, with thousands of tourists celebrating spring breaks and Easter vacations there. Tourism officials say many hotels and other businesses were operating with generators, but most people who live there are in the dark. Dozens of them were forced to walk next to the rails of the rapid transit system that serves the capital, and tons of businesses, including the biggest mall in the Caribbean, were forced to close. The private company that provides power to the island said it all started yesterday with an unexpected shutdown at all generating plants, but officials say they're working diligently to get power restored. More news is still coming up, but first, here's your main host, Erica Mandy, with a word from our sponsor.
Mother's Day is coming up, but for the moms listening, you don't need to wait for someone else to gift you what you really want. If you feel like your essentials could use an upgrade, treat yourself with what you actually want to wear. Ever since becoming a mom, comfort means even more to me. I need to be able to run around with my kiddo, but I also want to feel like a stylish, confident adult. Honeylove has revolutionized everything from leggings and tanks to shapewear and bras, and all of their products are made to be comfortable and supportive and fashionable for all shapes and sizes. My can't live without from Honeylove is their leggings. I'm wearing them right now. They're my go-to for so many reasons, whether I'm working from home or working out. I also love Honeylove's shapewear and bras. They're so comfortable, you'll forget you're even wearing them. Treat yourself to the most comfortable and innovative bras, shapewear, and leggings on earth and save 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/newsworthy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/newsworthy. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the new standard in bras and more with Honeylove.
Now, back to the news. Members of the World Health Organization reached a landmark agreement this week without the U.S. It's a legally binding treaty designed to better tackle future pandemics, and leaders are hoping this will help avoid the disorganization and competition for resources the world dealt with during the COVID-19 pandemic. Key elements include quickly sharing data about new diseases, making sure pandemic-related drugs are available worldwide, and more. Also, for the first time, the WHO itself will have an overview of global supply chains for masks, medical gowns, and other personal protective equipment. It still needs to be formally adopted by members when they meet for the World Health Assembly next month. The U.S. wasn't involved in the final discussions since President Trump announced his decision to withdraw from the Global Health Agency and pull funding. Now, experts are calling this a historic moment that shows that with or without the U.S., countries are committed to working together. More vaccines may soon be recommended to more Americans. A panel of independent experts that advises the CDC voted on new guidelines yesterday. They unanimously decided that at-risk adults in their 50s receive a single dose of an RSV vaccine, which until now has only been recommended for people in their 60s and older and pregnant women. The experts also voted to recommend a shot to protect travelers from a mosquito-borne illness called chikungunya. And they backed a new combination shot as another option to protect teenagers against meningitis. The CDC almost always follows the advisory panel's recommendations, but it's not clear how that will happen this time since President Trump's choice for CDC director is still waiting to be confirmed by the Senate. And that means any committee recommendations might move to Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is more skeptical of vaccines. For now, the Health Department spokesperson just says they're looking into it. American spending skyrocketed last month. In fact, it rose at the strongest monthly pace in more than 2 years. Analysts say it reflects Americans rushing out to buy big-ticket items, like cars, before tariffs start kicking in. So they think sales will likely fall sharply in the coming months. Whether it's actually a good idea to go on a spending spree now in the face of uncertainty is up for debate, especially since many countries are reportedly in negotiations with the Trump administration, hoping to make trade deals. And even if tariffs do take effect as promised, some retailers, like Walmart and Amazon, are promising to keep prices low. But other sellers, especially ones that rely heavily on China, have already started raising prices. For example, Chinese-based retailers Temu and Shein say they're going to raise prices next week. So have smaller American businesses, who have also had to pause production on certain products. Even more tariffs are expected to be announced soon. Time magazine has released its picks for the top 100 most influential people of the year. The list includes government leaders, activists, tech giants, athletes, Hollywood entertainers, and more. 5 of them will be on the magazine covers. They are Demi Moore, Snoop Dogg, Serena Williams, Ed Sheeran, and co-founder of Google's DeepMind, Demis Hassabis. This year's top 100 list included many people who've made the list before, like President Trump, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Lorne Michaels, Simone Biles, Joe Rogan, and so on. The Time 100 issue comes out on newsstands this Friday, but you can see the full list online today. That's it for the main news today. Now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, Erica is back to tell you about our sponsor, ZocDoc.
Have you already felt the effects of spring where you live? I mean, listen, I love spring, but this time of year also tends to come with some extra sniffles for kids and adults with allergies or sensitivities. And we're not totally out of sick season yet either. But thanks to ZocDoc, allergy relief and other care you and your family need is a little easier to find. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. I love having this very specific search function at my fingertips so I don't waste my time calling around a bunch of doctor's offices that don't take my insurance. Been there, done that, no thank you. ZocDoc has more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. And you can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, and are highly rated by verified patients. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy.
Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. These days, the hottest new club might actually be a book club. All across the U.S., book clubs have been booming in popularity, especially among young adults. The event planning platform Meetup says it has seen an increase in book club listings in recent years, and last year, Eventbrite saw a 31% rise in book club events after a similar increase the year before. And there are all kinds of different ones to choose from now. In some clubs, people like to run after they read. Others prefer reading and wine tasting. And some treat it like a gift exchange, where they wrap up their favorite books to give away. Listings for silent book clubs, where people get together to read in silence and then mingle, more than doubled. And book clubs for romance fantasy quadrupled. It's not just in-person book clubs either. There has also been an explosion of book content in online communities like Book Talk and Bookstagram. Platforms like Goodreads and the Storygraph have also been likened to social media apps of their own for book lovers who like to track and review their reads. So what's behind this trend? Well, some readers say it started with the COVID-19 pandemic, since it gave them time to rediscover their passion for reading. And then when the world opened back up, they rediscovered their passion for social connection. Whatever the reason, the trend seems to only be going up from here. Thank you for listening today and making us part of your daily routine. Erica will be back tomorrow with more news you need to know. Until then, have a great day.